Hi everyone, and welcome to Jane Talks Real. It's Trek Tuesday, where I will be discussing and reviewing an episode of the original series, The Next Generation, Voyager, Deep Space Nine, or Enterprise. Today, I'm going to be looking at The Naked Time, from the original series' first season, or as I like to call it, that time everyone caught space crabs. We begin the episode with a frozen shithole of a planet where Enterprise is to pick up a scientific party before the planet craps out. Spock and some rando named Joe beam down in their weird prison chic beekeeper realness and find this mannequin frozen to death. Although, actually, according to his scanner thingy, she was strangled. Okay, I get it in the other shot, but are they for real trying to pass off this as a real person? Joe says the others are dead too. Oh no, it's a mannequin massacre! And Spock goes to check. Then Joe breaks all pandemic rules by taking his gloves off, wiping his nose, and touching some equipment. No dude, that's a bad dude! He then doesn't put his glove back on and sticks his hand right onto an iced over workstation where some dramatic liquid drips up onto it. He then sniffs his hand and seriously, what is wrong with this man? He needs to go back to space school. Spock tells Kirk everyone is dead and Kirk asks how, so Spock says this.
Unknown, Captain. It's like nothing we've dealt with before.
And into the... Wait a minute. Spock already said mannequin lady was strangled, so why didn't he tell Kirk that? It was for dramatic effect, wasn't it? Okay then. Into the credits we go. Kirk's log, while he plays with his toys, explains that someone turned the life support off on the station. But no matter, because they're all going to stay and watch the planet collapse, so that'll be fun. Spock and Joe beam aboard, and we get the first instance of the transporters being used for decontamination purposes. Afterwards, they're sent to sickbay, where Spock is very casual Friday. They're both given a clean bill of health, but Typhoid Mary over there is super itchy. He's quite shook from seeing all those bodies, so Kirk tells him to rest, while Spock shows everyone his home movies from the mission. Everyone is bored. They theorize that the science party was infected by some sort of space madness, and Kirk wants definite answers, but no one can provide them. Then Uhura calls them to tell them the planet is starting to collapse, so bring the popcorn! Meanwhile, the most bored extras ever play a game while Joe grabs some lunch and keeps wiping his hand, ignoring Sulu and his friend who joins him. Sulu is trying to get his friend interested in fencing and nudges Joe when he doesn't respond. Joe snaps at him and bored extras look at him dramatically. Although, this red shirt wasn't here before. And cool! I guess playing cards are round in the future. Joe freaks out and threatens Sulu with a knife, yelling that they don't belong in space. When he turns the knife on himself, Goldshirt tackles him and Sulu joins in with a scuffle, resulting in Joe being covered in... what is that? Berry juice? They can't seriously be trying to pass that off as blood, can they? Anyway, Goldshirt calls for help, but he's now obsessed with his own hands too. Sulu and Goldshirt, who Kirk calls Riley, are back on the bridge as they all watch the planet start to collapse, but they both have itchy hands. Kirk and Spock talk about Joe's state of mind while McCoy operates on him, so I guess that was supposed to be blood? Geez, the 60s, was censorship really that bad? Riley takes his eye off the ball and nearly crashes the ship, so Kirk has to step in and McCoy can't work out why his patient isn't getting better. He's dead, Jim.
He's dead, Doctor.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. He calls Kirk to come down, and as soon as he leaves the bridge, Sulu decides to sneak off. McCoy tells Kirk that Joe shouldn't have died. There's no medical reason he should have. But Kirk demands answers, even though, dude, McCoy says he doesn't know. Leave him alone. Meanwhile, on the bridge, the ship nearly crashes again due to Sulu's absence, and Spock has to rush over. He asks Riley where Sulu is, but he spouts out some Irish poem and Spock has to switch him out with Uhura. Yay! Riley is ordered to sickbay and he acts very weirdly en route where he taps Nurse Chapel on her shoulder and says that Joe is dead. He touches her face, transferring the virus, but I'm just distracted by that thing on her head that's so desperately trying its best to pass for a wig. Riley is all like, if Joe was Irish, he wouldn't have died. Riley out! Great, now Nurse Chapel is all itchy. Should have used protection. Well, if you're anything like me, this is the only part of the episode you're familiar with. Topless Sulu running around thinking he's a musketeer. Don't play with it too much, you'll go blind. He jumps out at a red shirt and some guy in his dressing gown and chases them away. Kirk orders Sulu and Riley to be confined, but then the ship nearly crashes again and Scotty won't answer. Kirk is all like,
"Here, you drive,"
and goes to head to engineering, but Sulu bursts onto the bridge and threatens them all with his sword. Uhura tries to talk him down, but he grabs her to protect her, but Uhura doesn't take no shit and runs away. allowing Kirk and Spock to knock Sulu out. Some randos drag Sulu to sickbay while Kirk finally gets through to engineering, but this dumbass Riley is in control. Kirk heads off the bridge and Spock says they've only got 20 minutes until they crash, and why is he holding a switchblade? Is he auditioning for West Side Story or something?
When you're a jet, let them do what they can.
Kirk runs down to engineering where Scotty is locked out. Uhura reports that there are more incidents breaking out and tries to go to Red Alert, but Riley cuts her off and tells her that she's a naughty girl. Then the ship goes on a major tilt and everyone goes flying, with McCoy complaining that he's trying to run tests on Sulu. Scotty crawls through the ship trying to get into engineering. He fiddles around with something that allows the bridge to gain a little control, but they're still crashing. And who is this kid and why isn't he moving? Spock goes to check on things and kind of yells at this guy who's painted on the wall, and then he tells Scotty to move faster because they're running out of time. McCoy is pissed that no one is answering him, so he heads out of sickbay, leaving Nurse Chapel behind, who, oh yeah, is infected. Half the bridge crew are acting loopy, so Kirk just shoves this poor lady to take control of the helm, even though she doesn't seem confident about it. Then Kirk yells at Uhura, who yells back before composing herself, and seriously, Kirk is just a dick, even though he does apologize. Does Enterprise not have escape pods or shuttles? Because if this were Voyager, Janeway would have evacuated everyone by now. Spock makes it to sickbay, where Nurse Chapel does her best sexy voice and touches his hand, infecting him, although I thought he would have gotten infected from nerve-pinching Sulu. Then Chapel straight up tells Spock she's in love with him and get it, girl? Spock says he's in control of his emotions before naming his favourite Stephen King novel,
Christine,
and heading out. Scotty has nearly cut through to the controls, but seriously, is there no health and safety? Because this dude gets sparks to the face. They break in and Kirk yeets Riley out of his seat so that Scotty can regain control. Meanwhile, Spock is all up in his emotions and starts crying. He tries to reason with himself, and hey, this is where the sobs mathematically mean comes from. Scotty discovers that Riley has turned the engines off and it'll take way more time than they have to kickstart them again properly. So of course, dramatic zoom. McCoy discovers a cure which works on Sulu, but everyone in the lab is infected, so he can't get any sense from them. Kirk finds Spock and shakes the hell into him and then slaps him. So at least Kirk's violent tendencies extend to the males too. Yay? Holy crap! Spock punches Kirk over a table! Kirk yells at Uhura because he's infected too, although seems like plain old Kirk to me. With Kirk rambling, Spock becomes the rational one again and says there could be a way to restart the engines faster, although it's very, very dangerous. He goes off with Scotty to try and stop the ship from going boom, and even though they're seconds away from death and Kirk just yelled at her, Uhura sounds so calm. As he steps onto the bridge, McCoy rips the hell out of Kirk's uniform to inject him, and I don't know what's funnier, that or the way Uhura is woman spreading. They cold start the engines, and really, McCoy, you're not gonna hold on to something? It's your funeral, buddy. There's a horrible noise, and holy cow, how intricate is this hairstyle? It's like a wicker basket. The plan works, obviously, but hold up. Now they're going backwards through time. They're now 3 days in the past, although the planet is still destroyed, and Spock's like, cool, we can time travel anytime we want. Wait, what? Okay, so I chose to cover this episode because of the iconic swashbuckling Sulu moment, but actually this episode is pretty good. I mean, the time travel element made no sense because they couldn't save the people on the planet, but in a nice contrast, the acting was pretty good across the board. I mean, Shatner isn't over-Shatnering, Uhura has some really good moments, and Leonard Nimoy does a great job acting alone as someone trying to battle their own emotions. It's also nice to have some rando crew members being in the forefront, and all 3 female characters feature quite prominently, which is a really nice change. So there you have it. That was The Naked Time. If there's an episode of Star Trek you'd like me to cover, pop it down in the comments or come say hi on social media. If you enjoyed this video, then please hit that like button, it really does mean a lot. Or consider subscribing if you'd like to be assimilated into my channel. Thank you so much for watching, I'll speak to you soon, and live long and prosper!